Ask you a question. Ask yourself if you've had a really rough day and honestly, you're just physically tired. You're exhausted. And I mean, it's almost a struggle just to finish the evening like you've done so very much this day. And you look back at the day and it's like, yeah, I did some stuff. I did some things, you went to work, maybe you did the grocery shopping, maybe you took care of the kiddos, fixed dinner. It's a lot. It's a lot. But did you also, when you woke up in the morning, did you feel exhausted just getting out of bed? A lot of us do, right? We absolutely do. And I want to ask the question of, is it that you did so much the day before, you're still exhausted in the morning? Is it maybe you felt you did so much during the day that you were just so depleted and exhausted, had no energy in the evening? And our mind's telling us it's because we did all these things and that's why we're so tired, right? We're just exhausted. I want to ask you, is it possible that a large part of the reason for your exhaustion is from unhealed childhood trauma, maybe guilt or loss, the trauma of guilt and loss of a family member, maybe from abortion? The traumas, the wounding we hold in our bodies that we don't let out. We don't talk about. We don't let anybody see them. We don't even really see them. Okay. When they're unhealed, and our minds will tell us stories of, let's not deal with that right now. It's because you got so much to do. You're too tired. Let's just forget about it. Let's just forget about the trauma. Let's forget about the pain. Let's forget about the grief. Let's forget about the loss. Let's just, tell ourselves, no, just going to set that on the shelf somewhere. And we're going to essentially forget about it, maybe pretend it didn't happen. And if that's what you're doing, I did this for a lot of years, your body is still carrying all those experiences, all that wounding, all those traumas. And your body, that exhaustion that you're feeling day after day, and it keeps mounting more and more and more. And start to recognize that maybe your exhaustion is not coming from the act of doing. It's coming from the traumas, the wounding that maybe you're carrying around the grief, the loss of abortion, or around unhealed grief, loss of someone in your life. Maybe it is from a childhood trauma, a childhood abandonment. When we continue to not take care of ourselves, and I don't mean physically, well, maybe I kind of do, but I mean at the emotional soul healing level of taking care of you in that way, that is also an abandonment of self. When we don't want to see, feel, recognize, maybe deal with all of those woundings that we had in our previous years, our previous lives, our previous seasons of life. And the exhaustion comes, the brain fog comes, the true lack of energy, like you have absolutely got to drag yourself out of bed, and every part of your body, not your mind, but your body is saying, no, I need to rest. No, I need to start healing all of these traumas, these woundings we've been carrying around for so very long. Your body's telling you it's tired. It needs to heal. And when we continue to not recognize that, it becomes a physical exhaustion. It can become a physical ailment. It can, in many cases that I have seen, and even for myself, it affects you physically in ways of poor digestion, aches in your joints, pains in your joints, could have heart problems where you maybe have AFib, or you've had AFib and you've had the experience of having ablations. That's not fun, and because I've had them, but we can't continue to ignore our bodies. So I'll ask you one more question here. If you were feeling a pain in your body, let's just say you fell And it's like, okay, I think I either sprained, pulled, or broke something, or maybe a skin rash of some sort, or what is that, eczema or psoriasis? Either one of those types of things. Hair loss, okay, sudden weight gain, or maybe sudden weight loss that you were not planning on, started to take place. What would you do? I think your first thought would be, okay, let's give this maybe a little bit of time. Let's see where it goes. I'll try a couple of home remedies and see what happens. Things don't get better. They either stay the same or they start to get worse. It's like, okay, might want to go see a doctor. Let's see what this is about. Okay. And you go to the doctor. Doctor says, you got psoriasis, you got eczema. Oh, you're losing your hair. You have serious digestion problems or chronic constipation. And they say, yeah, I'm just going to throw some stuff out here. They say, okay, it's your gut. It's chronic constipation. Eat more fiber. Okay. You go do that. Or maybe they say, okay, let's try this pill. And we won't even go down the road of how I feel about that part. But they're giving you solutions to a symptom. Okay. You are having physical symptoms. Okay. Broken bone. That's probably not the best idea that I spoke. But the point is, you're going to go see a doctor because you want them to help you with whatever you may be experiencing. What if these symptoms you're experiencing, this digestive issue, this chronic constipation, psoriasis, eczema, hair loss, digestive problems to the point where there's a lot of whole foods you can no longer eat. These are symptoms of us continuing to ignore what our body is trying to tell us. There's a healing process. The body's trying to say, I need your help. I need your help. I'm carrying all these stories of all these traumas and these woundings, and we need to heal these. And when we heal these, then the body also physically reacts. The stress we put our bodies under when we continue to hold these stories in our minds, like, yeah, let's just forget about that. Let's just forget about that. Our body has not forgotten about it. Our heart has not forgotten about it. Our gut has not forgotten about it. We carry this energy. And I don't know how to express how important it is for us, for you to take a minute, take 5, and really, truly assess how you feel. Are you exhausted? Do you have pain? Do you have a skin rash? What's going on? And are you holding on to old stories that you don't want to think about? You want to forget about, because it does lead to exhaustion. It's like getting up and trudging through this huge thick pile of tar. That's the first thing that came to mind. And you're just pushing and moving so slow because it's so hard to move through that tar when we continue to ignore our trauma. And like I said, that is such a form of self-abandonment. It feels like we're trying to push through and walk through tar. And it is a slow, exhaustive process. What if you said, okay, all right, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. Let's just give this a shot. Let's give Terry an email or, let's set up a call and talk to Terry and let's see if we click and just kind of get an idea of how she is, and she can kind of get an idea how I am. And we go from there. And I'm going to ask you, what brings you here today? What are your concerns? And we start with the first one you talk about. And as we talk, as we explore, as I listen and I guide you, those stories start to release an energy out. No longer the mind saying, yep, we're just not going to deal with those. We're just going to forget it ever happened. What if that release of those energies over time, you started to heal your physical body? Your digestion starts to improve. Your chronic constipation starts to slowly disappear. You don't have as many sensitivities as we move through the different foods to try and see how it goes. It's a process. It's a process. But we start with those stories. We always start with those stories. And, I am going to ask you, are you seeing any physical signs of, like I said, skin rash, digestion problems, chronic constipation, hair loss? Hair loss can be a very, very big one. And so actually all of them can. I have met many women over time such stress on themselves to keep going, to keep doing. Do not worry about what happened in the past. I don't want to deal with it. I don't have time for it. I got to keep moving forward and keep moving forward and keep moving forward. I don't have time for this other stuff. And I have, honestly, I've watched their hair literally fall out until they took the time. Yes, they went to a doctor. Then they also started to recognize when they really started listening to their body, not their mind, but their body, of what it's been trying to tell them all this time. Release and heal the wounds we've been carrying for so many years. Then they really started to see a shift, not only in their physical, but their emotional well-being, how they felt in their body, to feel lighter, to feel happy, to feel peace, to feel joy, to be able to take a day or a morning or a week, whatever that looks like, go have fun. Just go have fun. And to be able to allow yourself to have that fun is also a big release, and your body's just going to love you to no end if you allow yourself some fun, even if it's 15 minutes, just a little bit of fun. It's important for me to tell you how important it really truly is that when we continue to ignore the signs our body is telling us, we're exhausted, we're tired, we have skin rashes, we have food digestion, our hair could be falling out, we have chronic constipation, we have joint pain. It is also looking at what's behind all that. Are you carrying stories of the past still today that you haven't let go of, that you're holding guilt and shame around? What if you could start to release that? What if you could start to heal that? And that's how I guide you to that release. And it's amazing. It's always amazing to me when I have something come up for myself personally, and I take the time to just stop and listen to my body, to listen to what it's telling me. And it's a story that usually comes up for me, an old story or another layer of a story that I need to work through the healing. And I do. And when I work through that and I release those energies of that next layer, I have a shift in my health. I feel better. My digestion improves a little bit more. That chronic constipation that I may have had improves a little bit more. That skin rash that I may have been fighting for years starts to improve a little bit more. So, I talk about skin rashes, and for years, I have had, I think it's psoriasis. And when I started my healing, I saw the psoriasis start to fade away. I did. And I was like, that's a very interesting link. And when I started diving into it, just to learn a little bit more, because I'm very curious about so many things around the body and health and healing, I just, I needed to know more. And there is a direct correlation there. There really is. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. And there's so much more, and everyone will react differently. It takes time. It's not a one hit wonder. Off we go and all is good. If it were that easy, I wouldn't be here talking about it all the time. And to tell you it does come in layers, and to give yourself grace and time to truly heal. Just take it as deep as you're ready to take it in that moment in time. And then we just kind of let it coast for a little bit, and we work on that. and we massage that until you are like, I feel so much better. I feel so much more at peace in my body and my mind. Big one, because man, our mind can start racing and going and telling us stories, true or not true. It's just zipping all around, right? What if you could settle those stories down? Not push them back, not forget them, not pretend they didn't happen, but to heal them, to start telling a different story and to look at the story in a way that says, okay, here's the story I've been telling myself. And you know what? I still love me. Maybe through the guilt. Maybe it's through the shame that you're feeling. And maybe it's through the grief of loss, but you're still there. You're still there. And we show even to ourselves this image of what we think we should be. There's that word should. What if we started showing ourselves of how and who we truly are? And that, you know what? That can be a little scary. I understand that because everybody all around us is like, ooh, who's that? You didn't used to say things like that. You didn't used to do things like that in the past. What's going on? And just simply tell them, this is a new me. This is the real me. And I'm finding out who she really is. And I love every piece of her. And that is something that's huge. And that's gosh, I can't think of the right word I want to use for that, but it's so expansive when you feel that even a small bit because you have taken the time to heal that one part of that story that is ready to be healed. Your body will tell you what you're ready for, not your mind. And please, 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 if you hear nothing else, don't push through it. Please don't push through it because when we push through healing our wounds, healing from our self-abandonment, healing from the guilt, healing from the shame, and we push, we don't really get the reward. And it is a reward of that feeling of, I feel so much better now that I have let this part of this story go. I have removed this energy from my body. And I have, and I've seen other people do it where it's a physical release of energy from the body. I can feel it through a Zoom call with someone because I connect very deeply with people. And if you allow me, and I can feel that energy shift and I can physically see it in your face many times. And then watching your eyes, it's like your eyes, they kind of light up and it's like, yes, I feel so much better. And I don't know, it's not an easy journey, but it is a truly amazing and transformative journey that we all deserve. We've lived our lives for so many years of hearing about who we should be, how we should be, how we should look, how we should act, how we should talk, how we should dress, how should. And from all these external places, right? And when we truly listen to all those external places and we're trying to conform to what everyone says we should be, we lose ourselves. And in that process of losing ourselves, we are also not letting ourselves heal. So here we have the wounding and the trauma that, our mind's saying, let's just forget that ever happened. It's in the past. Don't worry about that. That's the mind telling us that. And we're like, okay. And we've got, the external saying, okay, you should be like this and you should look like this and you should talk like this and you should, and you should, and you should, and you should, and you should. So you got all these shoulds sitting on top of these wounds that your mind's telling you, let's just forget about them. Let's just go do what everyone says we should. It is compounding effect to the point where we lose ourselves. And you look around one day maybe and it's like, who the heck am I? It's like I lost myself somewhere along this path. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to look like this. I don't want to speak like everyone tells me I should be. I don't want to be like everyone says I should be. Let's find out who you are. Let's start taking a little journey, right? And part of that journey is that I find very interesting. And it does center around a lot of the wounds that we hold within ourselves. It's around how you are wired, how you are made, and in terms of human design. And I'll tell you just a really quick story. When I was on, and I'm still on my healing journey, okay? I'm still there. And I'm still working layer by layer by layer. And I bring those stories to you. But anyway, to backtrack a little bit, I kept feeling in my body that there was something more there. There was something that I couldn't quite touch. I couldn't quite figure out what it was, it in air quotes. And I was working with my healing coach at the time, and she mentioned human design. It's like, what's that? So me being me, I started checking it out. It's like, oh, that sounds really interesting. And she also recommended someone who was, she was certified in human design and she was starting her business. So I scheduled an appointment and I had my human design read. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I was really kind of disappointed. And because all I could see at the time, because I had not really accepted of who and how I was, not what it, and I was so still busy listening to what everyone tells me I should and shouldn't do and be and talk and blah, 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 blah. All I could see was it is all good, because once I let all that settle, everything she told me, and I read through the report multiple times, and then I let myself really kind of marinate in that information, if you will. And to the point where I started feeling this tug again. It's like, okay, let's find out what more there is about this. Let's find out about more of who and how I am. Okay. And I did. I absolutely did. And when I did that healing that I did over here and the healing I'm still doing over here, but the human design piece also showed me so many things about who and how I am, how I take in information, how I make agreements with people, and what that means to me, my authority, my strategy to make decisions. Just, throw this in there. I am a projector. I'm a 2-4 emotional projector. And 2-4 is my profile. The 2 is more of kind of like that hermiting where I step back and just to recharge. And the 4 is also about community and drawing people in and the family and the contracts and the agreements and the how and the plan. And I find within human design, when I started down that road, and I'm still learning about myself, I learn new stuff every day about myself. That, as a 2-4 projector, projectors don't know when enough is enough. And I can absolutely attest to that. So you throw in the who and how you are with human design, and let's toss in a little bit of wounding in there. And then we toss in, the cultural vibe, I guess, if you will, of everyone saying you should be this, you need to talk like this, you need to look like this, you need to go do this, and you start piling all that stuff on there. And all of a sudden it gets to be a lot. And then you're just like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to forget about what I want. I am just going to set it down. I might get to it some other time in my life. And we do that. And when we set down in our mind these wounds and traumas that we've been carrying for so many years, and again, we just, society layers in all these expectations of the shoulds. And then underneath all the shoulds, underneath the wounding, therein lies how we're made. our human design. And it can show you so much about how you react, why sometimes you react to certain things a certain way. And it's not always out of wounding, but it's also a part of who and how you are made. It's like a roadmap. And the roadmap turns all over the place. There's no any one direct point from A to B. You could take A.1 or A.2. It's a journey. It's always a journey. But at the end, oh my gosh. And I have gone around the mulberry bush, I just realized, about 10 different ways. Everything I've said. I hope I wasn't like amazingly confusing and you're like, Terry, I have no idea what you just said. This is. To me, the point is your mind can tell us to forget our wounds, our traumas. And it is self-abandonment. Okay. And when we do those things, the physical exhaustion and other side effects can typically come up. Over time, they will typically increase. So there's those two pieces. But if we can come together, let's find out what is the first and foremost thing on your heart, on your mind. What brought you to me? We start there. And then, if, with your permission, of course, you would allow me to look at your human design, and that also helps uncover a lot of ahas for you. And it gives you some things to consider and to kind of marinate, for lack of a better term, and maybe experiment a little bit more of, let's see, of what? Of the spaces that light you up, that bring you energy, that bring you joy, things that bring you energy and bring you joy, people bringing you energy and joy. And maybe this is one of mine, is starting things or making agreements, and making these agreements to the point where I said, I do this, so I have to do it. And I keep doing it and I keep doing it and I keep doing it. Who says we have to keep doing it? You know, we are allowed to say no. And when I started looking at that particular small part of who and how I was, someone asked me, "Hey, do you ever find yourself agreeing to things and you can't put it down? You made an agreement with someone and you're upholding that." And when she asked me that question, it's like, holy cow, absolutely, absolutely, yes, I have done that on repeat over the years. And it's not fun, because when you get to the point where you're doing this thing that you've agreed to all this time, it can bring on feelings of anger, bitterness, frustration. When those things happen, that is actually your body saying, it's time to stop that. My body is telling me it's time to stop that. Listen to your body. Listen to your body, not your mind. Listen to your body. Your body will not steer you wrong. So here we go. What's your body telling you? What is it whispering to you? Or is it jumping up and down saying, I need you to hear me, please. We need help. What's your body telling you? And is it a physical? Is it exhaustion? Is it pain? Is it digestive? Is it chronic constipation? What is it? I am inviting you to step into a space with me, a very safe space with me, to discover what it is to be in a judgment-free space, open, judgment-free space with me. And we start the restoration, restoring you to who and how you really are, through healing, through the tapping, with human design. But the invitation is there. Okay. The invitation is there to get started. Invitation is there for you to book a call. I will put the link in the show notes to set up a free quick call to see if we even click, for you to talk to me. I talk to you. We make that connection to make sure this is something that you feel right about. It can be scary. I get that. I remember the first time I did this for myself, and I could have given myself 100 reasons of why I should just blow off the whole thing and not do it. No, not take the journey, not show up for the one-on-one call, not do the journaling because it was scary and it was uncomfortable. And my mind, honestly, my mind was saying, we don't want to know this. We don't want to feel it. We don't want to do it. We don't want anything to do with it. And yet, my body, my heart, my gut was telling me undeniably, you have got to do this for your physical sake, for your health sake, for your emotional soul deep sake. You've got to do this. And I listened to that call, that pull, and it changed everything, or I wouldn't be here today. Anyway, so I invite you, if your body is saying even a little tiny bit, contact Terry. Let's see what she can do for us. It is a judgment-free space. I will put my email in there. You can certainly email me if you have questions. And hey, listen, subscribe, share, comment. I would love to hear from you. Subscribing helps me reach more people that need to hear this. So with all that, I wish you all a beautiful week and we'll talk soon.